welcome to the after show.
Absolutely. We are going to dig in and follow up on what we were just teaching you on.
Yeah, so we were talking about temperature time because
Yes.
I don't know how this happened, but it's almost March 1st.
I know it. Time is zooming by.
It is. And you know what? We as in me, have been absent for a few weeks. This one's on me because I got sick. So my cover designer came to visit me. Cindy, I love you very much. And she brought with her the last effects of COVID. And I've only had COVID at least 265 times in the last 365 days. So I caught it again. And the whole family kind of just spread it. So it was a couple weeks off for me, unfortunately. But we sure are glad to be back. And we thought temperature time would be a great thing to do.
It
to
really
get back
is.
Into it.
It is. And listen, we always have something, right?
Yep.
Life brings something. What we have to do is make sure that we are responding and controlling what it is that we can control. And so in this process, it's just a matter of always having the ebbs and flows. But the goal is to strive toward the extraordinary life.
Oh, I love that so much. And you know, I think the reason we were talking about, and we'll do temperature time several times in 2022, because remember, the biggest takeaway I took from 2021 and not accomplishing most of my goals was I forgot to review them. I didn't take time through the year to stop and remember what I wanted to do, assess it, and then recorrect, just start to correct the path again. And so that was the idea of this last one, was like, hey, it's March. We should stop, assess where we are in different places in our lives, and then see, okay, where are we lacking that we really want to focus? Where's our heart pulling us towards to go, you are not on track, but this will be awesome at the end of the year if you can get back on track.
But you know what? I think it's indicative of everything with life, right? You can begin down a path and something can happen to detour you, divert you, right? Or obstacles pop up. But I think it's more a matter of, like you're talking about, staying connected to it. It's not enough just to jot down this goal in November, December, or January and then set it and forget it. Right? We got to stay connected to it. It's a living, breathing thing because it brings living, breathing results if we work the plan.
That's right. And you know what? Something that might have been really important, and we talked about a hell yes. Remember, if it's not hell yes and I'm not feeling it, I'm not going to put it down as one of my goals. And so that was like our temperature gauge for goals. But I think what happens too is as life throws curveballs at you, or new people come into your life, or new business opportunities show up, or things shift and change.
They do.
Your hell yeses change.
Yes,
so
they
something
do.
that I was super excited about maybe in December, let's say my health, and then I come to March and it's like I might have a family issue that came up, or I might know that I need to spend more time with my son. It shifts my hell yes from focusing on me to I need to focus more on family. It's just funny how that happens.
It does.
But I think being aware, which is just so fun. It's really fun to be aware. I mean, it's hard to keep it up, but it's fun to be aware so that you can shift.
That's right.
And get the blessings and the rewards of what happens when you're diligent and being aware.
Well, we have to remember we always reserve the right to pivot.
That's right.
Right? And so sometimes we forget that. Sometimes we can get in a rut.
And you just stay.
And you just go, and instead of being prayerful and careful, as my grandmother used to
love
say,
that.
being able to be in tune and understanding, okay, wisdom tells you, here's my thing. Information without application is just called information. Information that gets applied can become wisdom. And we've all had those pieces of wisdom, of things that, hey, we've pivoted on. Or you know what, I need to push past. Whatever it is, it's a matter of us keeping our hands on the wheel.
I love that.
Right? And so,
Staying awake.
about vacation, Laurie's going on vacation here pretty soon. So she's very, very excited. And she won't be driving not 1 mile of this vacation. So keep her husband in your prayers. It really is. She's got the map out. Okay, no map, no day nowadays. GPS, people.
Really, for right now, my phone. Siri tells us where
to turn, where to breathe. But you know what? I want us to keep our hands on the wheel.
No, I love
and
that.
I think the more we do that in our lives, the more we're going to feel in control, even if things appear out of control.
I agree. And I just had one of those epiphanies the other day, and it was, I don't even really remember where it came from. I think it was a conversation with Caitlin that just spun into something else. But I remembered we have our last baby in high school. Like my last child is in high school, will be empty nesters in the next year and a half to 2 years. And it's just, I don't know, it kind of just hit me like, this is weird that I'm going to be, I don't have any little ones you know, to take care of. And I really had a moment of, can we just not grow this year? Like I've grown every year in my business. I've grown every year for the last 10 years. And it's like, could this year just be a year where you didn't focus on you and the business? And I have good reasons for it. It's not like I'm a narcissist, but it's just the idea of, it was a very weird God moment where God kind of confronted me with, you got 1.5 years left. Like, you're going to want to spend this time or you're going to regret it. And it's like, man, it really shifted my focus to to reassess everything. It wasn't just one thing, it was to reassess everything.
Yeah. Well, I totally know where you're going with that. I can remember several years ago, I'd had a conversation with a good friend, and he brought up this acronym that really kind of shifted the way I thought about things. And he was talking about, because his daughters were getting ready to graduate, coming up, and, for me and my boys at that point in time of me understanding the clock, and so really understanding how much quality time is remaining. Right. And so being able to look at that for my boys, who are in those later stages of high school, of understanding, hey, this is about to move forward. And so it is about being intentional.
Yes.
And when you're intentional, you actively say yes and you actively say no. Right. And we can do that. We reserve that right. So I think it's important for people to keep connected, to keep their hand on their pulse and understand what you want and why you want it. But it's okay to pivot. It's okay to make changes. But we still is going to have to give effort and action.
Absolutely.
Right? That
whatever
never,
direction we're
gets
going.
on cruise control.
I agree. What was the acronym? You didn't tell me the acronym.
QTR. I did. I just didn't say the acronym.
Yeah, I didn't.
Quality time remaining.
Oh, I love
right?
that.
And so QTR, I love this. Don't try to steal it, Laurie. I'm
totally
already working on it.
I've got a trademark together already.
I'll call my attorney here in a minute. But quality time remaining. As you think about that, if you've got kids, and you may have some, you might have a baby that's an infant. A friend of mine has a baby that's infant, and it seems like we blinked, and now baby's crawling. Well, anybody as parents, right? I don't have the heart to help him know that pretty soon this baby that loved to be held is about to be pushing off to get down to walk. Right?
And then they'll be in their room as a teenager, like, get out, get out.
Okay, you lost some years there pretty quick.
I did, but
it's and we've all been that way. I'll never forget growing up. I'm gonna get personal here. My uncles, or you'd have those family members that you didn't see very much. And so when they saw you, they would always say this phrase, and it would get on my nerves. They would say, wow, you keep getting big. You keep growing. And I'm like, of course I'm going to grow.
Thanks for pointing out the obvious.
But I realized when you don't see people for a while, that jump and that growth, it can be startling. Right? And that's where, if we're not intentional with our time, it can jump on us. And so I want you to just take a deep breath and really begin to look at where are you going to be more intentional in your life. I know there are a lot of things that you can't control. There are a lot of things impacted by other people, their attitudes, their statements, their responses. But at the end of the day, this is your life. And so we've got to live it the best way we can, and that's one day at a time.
No, I love that. And in the show, we looked at our health, our business, our relationships, our families, and our spiritual life. There's so many other places that you could that you could stop and kind of take a temperature check and see how you're doing, and even look back at your year end or your beginning of the year goals and say, what did I want to do? What was the dream this year? And you know what, if that's not the same dream anymore, like you said, you reserve the right to pivot, change that dream.
You sure can.
But I would say change it and get busy on the next thing and it's not necessarily just growth. It's get busy on moving towards the extraordinary life. Whatever that looks like to you, this has always been about your definition.
It's the crazy thing. Our lives are canvases, and we're the painters, or we're the sculptors. And so what we have to do is just make sure we're keeping our hands on the wheel, going back to there. And so I know if you're living and breathing, you've been dealt a setback, you've been dealt a curveball, or maybe you got 1,000 things going on. I know I do, and I know Laurie does. And so what do you do when you get that going? It's time to breathe, and it's time to sift and prioritize. What needs your attention? I'm going to give you another little tip. I use a 3-step process. What's on focus, what's on deck, and what's on hold.
Oh, I love that.
And what's on focus is the thing that I'm giving my attention to.
I love
what's
that.
on hold is what's coming up next. But what's on deck is what's coming up next. But the thing that's on hold, it means it's good and it might be okay, but I can't get to it right now, so it's not spending time in my brain.
That's so smart. It's almost like prioritizing.
It is prioritizing.
Yeah, that's great. Say it one more time.
Yes. So you have the 3 piles. You have on focus, on deck,
got it,
and on hold.
Yes,
yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's great. Guys, we hope that you're having your extraordinary life already, and we hope that you're continuing to move towards it. If not, I think we'll always be growing. We talked about that. We'll be doing that until we go to the grave. But I think taking a temperature gauge is just super smart, and you're worth it. Like, you're worth the time to sit down and make sure that these pieces of your life are going the way that you want, because you do steer your own ship. And sometimes we do take our hands off that wheel. I know Chris talked about the wheel a lot in our show, and it's like you take your hands off the wheel and the wheel just spins itself based on what the bumps in the road tell it to do.
That's right.
It's like, but for us to put our hands back on, this is for you. It's not just a thing we do, or, oh, this is so businessy, or, oh, I'm so structured, or, oh, I'm so left-brained. It's not about that.
No,
it's
really
about
isn't.
making sure you're going
That's right.
where you want to get to.
Absolutely. And listen, we share stuff with you that we're doing. The reality of this is, this Extraordinary Life Project is about sharing, it's about caring, and it's about connection. So we appreciate you. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will be back soon. But until then, make sure you drop it in some comments.
Yeah.
What are the areas you're focusing on? Or what's the area you're going to prioritize for you? Or maybe you're going to let us know about something you're going to pivot on. Either way, we always love to hear from you.
Yes. So until next time, we're praying for you. We love you. We're thinking about you. Go out and move towards that extraordinary life.
See you later.